Discover 7 incredible teachings of Anandamayi Ma to awaken your life-changing inner light. Lily stood at the counter of the diner, the clatter of plates and the smell of fried food filling the air. It was just another overworked Tuesday, her back aching from fatigue and worry. She flipped pancakes with one hand while the other hurriedly wiped the sweat from her brow. At 38, the weight of the world sat heavy on her shoulders. A year had passed since her husband vanished, leaving her dreams shattered like brittle glass. Now, she darted between the diner and the nearby supermarket, fueled only by coffee and sheer willpower, trying to keep her family afloat on one brisk autumn afternoon. As the leaves turned golden orange and dropped like heavy whispers, a glimmer of unexpected hope arrived. Grace entered the diner, her long silver hair cascading like a waterfall, eyes sparkling, carrying an aura of mystery. She settled into a booth, the sun casting rays through the window, illuminating her presence. Lily approached, her heart was beating faster than usual. "What can I get for you?" she asked, trying to shake off the nervousness that crept up her spine as Grace cradled her steaming coffee cup. She spoke softly, sharing wisdom drawn from the sacred teachings of Anandamayi Ma. "You have an inner light, dear," she said, her twinkling gaze piercing through Lily's layers of doubt. "Accept yourself. Embrace the shadow and the light." At first, Lily let skepticism cloud her thoughts, but those simple words clung to her heart like a soft ember, teasing out curiosity amidst her despair. Yet home felt like a battlefield. Lily's son, Jake, a boy on the edge of manhood, descended into darkness. The bullying at school gnawed at him, stripping away the boyish confidence he once had. He was mired in a fog of alienation, feelings of inadequacy suffocating him with every harsh word flung at him by classmates. Tension swirled in the air, thick enough to cut. Lily, absorbed in her struggles, didn't quite see the storm brewing in Jake's heart. One evening, as shadows danced in their cramped living room, Jake overheard Lily confiding in a neighbor, her voice tinged with desperation. "He's a burden," she had whispered, not realizing he was listening. Jake felt that dagger of hurt sink in deep, convinced he was a disappointment, just waiting for a chance to collapse under the weight of unfulfilled expectations. Days turned into a blur of indifference until a crisis struck the community. A fire swept through a nearby apartment complex, awakening what had been a quiet, retreating sense of connection in the small town. Suddenly, Lily found herself thrust into a community rally. Vegetables in hand, she joined neighbors in prepping meals, her heart heavy but pulsing with an unexpected beat of solidarity. Jake joined her, hesitantly at first, but soon he felt the warmth of purpose, understanding, and most importantly, connection. They began to see each other as allies, each food tray shared and every laugh exchanged, knitting their frayed bond back together. However, just as light began streaming into their fractured relationship, Jake exploded in frustration, questioning the decisions of the adults around him. A cry for attention and understanding. "Why do we have to pretend everything's okay?" he yelled, leaving Lily paralyzed with shock. The words hung in the air, heavy with urgency. Could love bridge the chasm that had grown between them? As emotions surged and layers of misunderstanding peeled away, both mother and son faced a turning point. Would they embrace the spark of hope Grace had ignited or remain lost in their separate storms? The crossroads loomed ahead, weaving the promise of profound transformation for the both of them. The air felt electric in the kitchen as Lily gazed at Jake, her heart pounding. She wanted to reach out, to offer some solace, but the words were stuck in her throat. Instead, she clenched the dish towel in her hands, feeling its rough fabric as a reminder of her own struggles. She had always been soft-spoken, even timid, and now, every moment felt like a decision. To open up or to retreat. "I'm not pretending," she finally managed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'm just trying to get by." Jake rolled his eyes, the frustration palpable in the silence that followed. The world outside the diner's walls held no promise of peace. But here, in this small space, they found themselves at an impasse. Lily's mind raced back to Grace's words about embracing the shadows. What if this was her moment to change? She tried to breathe deeply, to speak with the authority she envied in others. "If something is bothering you, we need to talk about it," she said, looking into Jake's eyes, hoping he could sense her sincerity. Jake crossed his arms defiantly but didn't look away. "You really don't get it, do you? It's not just school. It's everything. I feel lost. Like I'm invisible. You're fighting battles of your own and I don't even know where I belong." His revelation hit Lily hard, like a punch to the gut. She thought of all the times she'd been so consumed with her own grief and worries that she hadn't stopped to really look at Jake. Fear overtook her, fear of failing him. Fear of admitting that she, too, craved guidance. "Jake," she said, her voice trembling, "I'm scared too. But maybe we can figure this out together." For a moment, the tension faded, replaced by something softer, something hopeful. Jake opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, there was a knock on the door, jolting them both from the moment. "Hey, Lily, you in there?" It was Sam, Lily's neighbor, her voice bright and cheerful. "We could use a hand with the relief effort." Lily's heart sank, but she forced a smile. She wanted to push through her issues and make a difference, for herself and her son. "Let us go," she said, looking back at Jake, who now seemed contemplative instead of irritated. "Maybe this will help." As they stepped outside, the energy of the community buzzed like a live wire. People gathered, faces warm with a shared purpose, laughter mingling with the aroma of fresh food. It was a chaotic symphony of compassion, igniting a flicker of hope within Lily. While they moved from table to table, serving neighbors and sharing stories, she noticed Jake gradually loosen up. Each laugh, each connection he made with cheerful strangers seemed to lift his spirit. As he worked alongside her, Lily felt the shadows begin to shift, the warmth of collective effort wrapping around them like a hug. But just as she believed the distance between them was closing, Jake turned to her, his brow furrowed. "Can we talk later? Like really talk?" "Of course," Lily replied, heart racing again with both hope and fear. What if their talk could finally bridge the gap they'd stood on for so long? As they cleaned up, the day slowly blended into twilight, casting a serene glow over the community. But even amid the laughter and connection, a question taunted Lily. What truths lay bare beneath the surface of their unspoken pain? Was this spark of hope just a flicker, or could it become a flame that changed everything? The evening wind rustled around them, whispering promises and possibilities. Secrets loomed, and not just in their conversations but in the shadows of their hearts where light wanted desperately to break through. Lily watched as the sun dipped lower on the horizon, its golden rays casting long shadows across the square filled with laughter and bustling activity. But as much as she wanted to bask in the community's warmth, her heart weighed heavily with anticipation of the conversation she knew was coming with Jake. The joy around her felt bittersweet, as if joy itself was a cover for deeper emotion. "Lily, can you help with these boxes?" Sam's voice broke through her thoughts as she hustled by, arms loaded with supplies. "Sure," Lily responded, pushing aside her worries for a moment. She jumped into the work, stacking boxes of food donated by local farms and arranging them for people to take home. But Jake lingered near the edge of the gathering, watching the scene unfold with a distant look in his eyes. She glanced over, feeling a pull towards him, yet the numerous voices surrounding her made it hard to focus. After a few minutes, she set down her box and walked lightly toward him, trying to read his expression. "Hey," she said softly, breaking the silence that hung between them. "You good?" He shrugged, shoving his hands into his pockets. I don't want to be a burden." His words came out clumsy, as if they had fought their way free from a deep-rooted shame. "Jake, you're not a burden. You could never be that to me." She took a step closer, drawing him into her space, feeling as though the world around them faded into the background. He sighed, a deep, heavy sound. "It's just lately, everything feels out of control. I'm supposed to be figuring things out, but it just feels like more chaos." Lily's heart ached at the vulnerability spilling from him. "I know what you mean. Life isn't always easy to handle," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "But we don't have to do this alone." He looked at her, disbelief flickering in his eyes. You really mean that? You've been through so much. I have, yes. But that doesn't mean I want to turn away when you need me. She insisted, reaching out to touch his arm. We can lean on each other. I might be a mess sometimes, but I'm still here for you. Jake dropped his gaze to the ground, processing her words. The corners of his mouth twitched upward, but uncertainty still clouded his eyes. What if we can't fix this? Lily took a breath, gathering courage. What if we just focus on getting through today? Let us figure out how to face tomorrow when it comes. She wanted to believe that their shared struggles could lead to something profound, something transformative. Just as the tension began to ease, the sharp call of a familiar voice burst through the night. Hey, Lily, Jake, come join us for a group photo. Sam hollered with a wave from a growing crowd. Lily exchanged a glance with Jake, who hesitated, a flicker of uncertainty shadowing his features. She urged, come on, we've been through so much today. Let us capture this moment. As they joined the group, the closeness provided a strange comfort. Laughter mingled with the last traces of daylight, and for just a moment, Lily felt hope ripple through her, hope that perhaps they could be stronger together. Yet even amid the collective joy, a thought nagged at her. Was this moment a true turning point, or merely a temporary distraction? She felt the weight of their silence and unasked questions lingering between them, just waiting to be surfaced as the images snapped. Lily's heart whispered a reminder. Some moments, while masking pain, hold the potential for great revelations. The question remained, though when the laughter faded and the lights dimmed, would they find the strength to confront their truths together? Lily stood among the crowd, the laughter and chatter washing over her like a warm blanket. But even with the joyful atmosphere, her heart thudded heavily against her chest. Jake stood beside her, a hesitant figure in a sea of vibrant faces. Their brief moment of connection lingered in her mind, but she sensed an undercurrent running through him that wouldn't easily dissipate. Let us do this, she said, breaking free from her worries and attempting to energize the moment. They lined up with the others, arms thrown around each other, faces beaming. As Sam counted down, she could feel Jake's body tense next to hers. She squeezed his shoulder. It was a silent promise that he wasn't alone. 3, 2, 1. Smile. The camera clicked, capturing a moment of pure emotion. But behind the facade of grins, Lily felt the heaviness returning, a reminder that the festivity masked deeper issues. Once the photo was taken, the group dispersed back into their own conversations, leaving Lily and Jake standing awkwardly. The buzz around them faded to an ambient hum, and she could see him searching for words, as if he were fighting against an invisible barrier that kept him silent. Lily, his voice was barely above a whisper. Can we talk somewhere quieter? Of course. She nodded, heart racing. They slipped away from the gathering, seeking refuge behind a nearby building where the noise diminished to a soft murmur. The shadows loomed around them, but the air was filled with a palpable energy, the kind that sometimes precedes a storm. Thank you for being there today, Jake began, his expression a mixture of gratitude and anxiety. It means a lot to me. I wish I could do more, she replied, her gaze locking onto his. But I'm still figuring things out too. You know? He scratched the back of his head, his eyes darting around like he was searching for the right path. I feel like I keep dragging you into my mess. I'm scared, Lily. Scared that I'll end up pushing you away. Lily stepped closer, her heart pounding in her ears. I won't let that happen, she assured him. I think it's important that we both can be honest about how we feel about what scares us and help each other through it. Jake looked at her, a flicker of hope alighting in his darkened eyes. You really think we can do that? She hesitated, the weight of her own struggles creeping back in. I want to believe we can, but it's hard. There's so much I'm still trying to understand about myself, about everything. Jake's gaze softened. It's not just you know. I'm lost too. I feel like every day is a new challenge, and sometimes it's just exhausting. We don't have to face it all alone, she said, her voice steady, yet tinged with uncertainty. We can share the load. He nodded slowly, as if considering her words. But what if? Stop. Lily held up her hand, wanting to halt his worries. Let us not get into what ifs. Let us just think about today. We decided to take it one step at a time, remember? He exhaled softly, releasing some of the tension in his shoulders. You're right. But what happens when the day wins and the clouds roll in again? In those moments, she said, squeezing his hand, we lean on each other. No matter how dark it gets, let us promise we won't lose sight of the light. The connection between them crackled, a fragile thread woven from shared vulnerabilities. Yet, just as the hope began to solidify, a distant sound broke their cocoon. A sudden crash echoed from the festival area. Lily's heart raced, uncertainty flooding back. Did you hear that? Jake asked, his eyes wide, apprehension creeping back into his voice. What was that? She looked toward the direction of the noise, dread pooling in her stomach. They exchanged a glance, fear mingling with something else, curiosity, urgency. Let us check it out, Lily said, her voice resolute despite the uncertainty that loomed over them. Together, they stepped back into the chaos, their hands brushing as they moved, ready to face whatever lay ahead. But as they approached the sound, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the night was about to challenge everything they had just begun to confront. As they moved through the throng of festival goers, the festive lights twinkling above seemed to take on a different tone. The laughter that had filled the air moments before now felt muted, as if the unfolding drama had cast a shadow over the joyous occasion. Jake's grip on Lily tightened, his breath coming in quick spurts as they approached the epicenter of commotion. What do you think happened? Jake glanced worriedly at her, his face half lit by the colorful lanterns flickering around them. I have no idea, but let us be careful, she replied, her voice barely above the whispers of those nearby. As they got closer, the sound of raised voices found its way to their ears, a mixture of panic and confusion. A small crowd had gathered, and Lily could see people pointing toward the ground. Her heart sank when she caught a glimpse of what was causing all the fuss. A broken booth, its decorations strewn across the pavement, a loudspeaker cracked, and in the center, a young man kneeling on the ground, clearly shaken. Is he okay? She breathed, instinctively stepping forward. Jake hesitated, a flicker of worry crossing his face. Wait, we don't know what happened, he cautioned. But she could already see that others were rushing to help. Without waiting for a response, she approached the distressed young man. Hey, are you all right? She asked softly, crouching down to meet his eye level. He looked up, fear and confusion etched on his face. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to fix the lights. And they felt his voice trembled. Sure, it's okay, she assured him, her tone gentle. Can you stand up? We'll help you. Lily felt a warmth grow within her chest as several people joined her to lend a hand. Jake stood at her side, his hesitation shifting to cautious determination. Encouraged by her approach, he knelt down alongside her. You're not alone. We've got you, he said to the young man, his voice steady now, filled with an unexpected strength. The young man nodded, gratitude glimmering in his eyes as he slowly began to rise. A few festival volunteers quickly joined in, helping to gather the scattered lights. The noise of the crowd faded, replaced by an undercurrent of shared purpose. As they worked to piece everything back together, Lily glanced at Jake. His worried expression had transformed, replaced by a spark of resolve. In that moment, she realized that they were not so different from the young man they were helping, each of them grappling with their own mistakes, fears, and the overwhelming weight of expectations. Once the scene began to settle, the crowd slowly dispersed, murmurs of reassurance echoing as the festival resumed its celebratory essence. Jake turned to Lily, a newfound light in his eyes. That felt good, he admitted, a hint of awe in his voice. She smiled back, her heart swelling with warmth. We did something. Together. Amidst the lingering chaos, the reminder of their previous conversation touched her mind. Maybe confronting fear led to unexpected connections. They were building something, piece by piece, just like the booth they had helped repair. But just as Lily felt the warmth of her triumph, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out to see a message that made her breath catch. You need to come home. Now. Panic surged through her, clouding the sense of accomplishment they had just shared. She looked at Jake, uncertainty filling her mind. I have to go. Jake's face fell, instantly aware of the weight that now hung between them. What's wrong? She hesitated, the connection they had forged hanging in the balance. I don't know, but it sounds serious. Then we'll face it together. His resolve wrapped around her like a lifeline. But as they turned to leave the festival behind, Lily couldn't shake the growing sense of foreboding that was beckoning her home. What awaited her there? The questions flooded her mind as they hurried into the night, the darkness looming, thick with all that was left unsaid. The streets around them had become a blur of flickering lights and distant laughter, but Lily didn't hear any of it. Her mind raced. Each footstep felt heavier, dragging her deeper into an unknown. Lily, wait, Jake said, his voice slicing through her anxiety. He caught her arm and she turned to face him. The concern in his eyes made her heart thump louder, as if it were trying to communicate some unsaid truth. I know something's wrong. Please tell me what you're feeling. It was so easy for her to fall back on the mask of calm she often wore. But this moment felt different. She opened her mouth, searching for the words, but nothing came out. Instead, fear balled up inside her like a stone. She hesitated, the weight of uncertainty bearing down on her. I haven't been home in weeks. My family needs me, I just don't know what's waiting for me. Jake's gaze softened, his grip on her arm tightening a fraction, reassuring. Whatever it is, you don't have to do it alone. Just let me be with you, please. The warmth of his words spilled over her anxiety, and she finally nodded. Okay, let us go together. They walked side by side, the distance to her home stretching longer with every step. Each shadow that flickered on the sidewalk made her heart race anew, and her thoughts drifted to various possible scenarios waiting for her. Had something happened to her parents? Was there news she dreaded hearing? Breathe, Lily, Jake urged quietly. Just focus on one step at a time. His calm presence steadied her. The tension in her shoulders began to ease just a little as they rounded a corner. When they finally reached her street, the bright lights of the festival faded into the background, replaced by the intimate glow of her family's home. It was a sweet yet ominous sight. Familiar feelings swirled in her chest as they approached the front door. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. What if I don't want to open it? She voiced, her heart racing. What if it's all bad news? Jake leaned closer, his eyes searching hers. You might just find that it's not what you think. Sometimes the fear of the unknown is worse than the truth itself. Taking a deep breath, she turned the knob, the door creaking open. The scent of familiar home-cooked meals filled the air, but it felt hollow against the dread pooling inside her. Mom? Dad? She called, stepping inside. The warmth welcomed her, but the silence that followed was heavy, deafening. Jake stepped in behind her, sensing her tension. Let us just look around, he whispered, encouraging her onward. As they moved further into the living room, Lily's heart sank at the sight of the couch, her family's favorite gathering spot, empty. Where are they? She asked, panic rising again. Then, a familiar sound broke through the silence. The soft whistle of the kettle. The kitchen lights were flickering, and out of the corner of her eye, she could see a shadow moving. A figure emerged, her mother, weary but smiling softly. Lily, her mother breathed, tears sparkling in her eyes. You're home. Relief washed over her for a moment, but it quickly transformed into confusion as she took in her mother's expression. What's going on? Before her mother could respond, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, and he pulled it out, his eyes widening. I need to take this. I'll just step outside. Lily nodded absent-mindedly, her focus still caught between her mother's worried glance and the rising knot in her stomach. As Jake stepped out, he glanced back, his face a map of concern. What are they keeping from me? She whispered, dread tightening its grip. Determination coursed through her as she turned to her mother, hoping for answers hidden behind those gentle, yet anxious eyes. Mom, please, tell me what's happening. Her mother sighed deeply, welling up with emotion. What was about to unfold could change everything they knew. As the truth hung in the air like an unspoken secret, Lily braced herself for whatever revelation lay ahead. What had she possibly walked into? Her mother took a hesitant step forward, the tension radiating from her like heat. "Sweetheart, sit down," she suggested, her voice gentle yet urgent. The words seemed to vibrate through the room, echoing in Lily's mind. She felt the world tilting, balance wavering as she followed her mother's lead to the kitchen table, trying to choke back a sudden flood of emotions. Jake was outside, the door barely swinging shut behind him, leaving them alone in the stillness. Lily positioned herself at the edge of her seat, heart drumming in her chest like a war drum, all the while her mother stood lingering the calm center in a swirling storm. "I've been so worried about you," her mother began, her voice quivering with the weight of unshed tears. "Ever since you stopped coming home." She trailed off, and Lily couldn't take the silence. "What has happened?" The question came out in a rush, almost a plea. Her mother swallowed hard, squeezing her eyes shut for a brief moment. "There's something we need to talk about, something you need to know." The air thickened around them, charged with unspoken fears. A new wave of dread washed over Lily, pushing her pulse to her ears. "Is it about Dad?" The thought had taken root in her mind, a festering worry she couldn't shake. Her mother shook her head slowly. "No, it's not about your father. It's about you, Lily. It's about us." Us. Confusion knitted her brow. "What do you mean?" In that moment, her mother stepped closer, and the sadness etched in her features expressed 1,000 unshared conversations. "There have been changes, Lily," she said softly, "in our family. I didn't want to overwhelm you, but now I think it's too important to keep quiet." Lily's heart raced, a gnawing anxiety creeping back in. "What kind of changes?" Her mother inhaled deeply, a tremor in her breath. "Your grandmother, she's not well, and it's affecting all of us." The words hit Lily like a punch to the gut. She hadn't seen her grandmother in too long, life pulling her away from the very heart of her family. "What do you mean? Is she in the hospital?" Her mother shook her head again, tears spilling silently down her cheeks. "No, not yet. It's not that simple. It's her mind. She forgets things, names, faces, our memories." A chill ran through Lily. The fractures in her family were widening. "I didn't know. Why didn't anyone tell me?" Her mother took her hands, shaking her head slowly. "We didn't want to worry you. But we need you back, Lily. We need you here. She needs you more than ever. And so do we." The gravity of her mother's words settled over her like a weight. Memories of summers spent at her grandmother's house flooded her thoughts, laughter, stories, warmth. "I want to help," Lily said, urgency fueling her voice. "Where is she? I need to see her." Her mother kept holding her gaze, though concern remained unreadable. "She's in her room." "But Lily, you need to be ready. It might be harder than you expect." Determination surged through her. No matter how difficult it would be, she wanted to be there for her family. "I can handle it," she insisted, resolving in that moment to be strong. Yet deep down, dread curled in her stomach. What if she doesn't recognize me? Before she could engage that thought further, Jake returned, his face still etched with concern. "Is everything okay?" Lily turned to her mother, ready to push forward, but swallowed her fear as she nodded. "I need to see her," she said, her voice stronger now. "Let us go," her mother urged. "We'll face this together." As they made their way towards the stairs, apprehension flooded Lily's senses. What awaited her behind that door? Jake caught her eye and gave her a reassuring nod. He would be there, no matter what. Now, taking one shaky breath after another, she stepped into the unknown. What would she find on the other side? The hallway felt longer than ever, each step echoing with uncertainty. Lily's heart raced like a runaway train, the walls closing in on her with every inch she took toward her grandmother's room. She could feel her mother's grip on her hand, warm and steady, but the chill of fear crept up her spine as they reached the door. Her mother paused. "Are you ready?" she asked softly, searching Lily's eyes for a sign of assurance. But all Lily could muster was a nod, her throat tight with emotions she couldn't quite articulate. Her mother turned the doorknob slowly, the gentle creak of the hinges forcing a nervous breath from Lily's lips. The room was dimly lit, filled with the kind of quiet that felt heavy, almost suffocating. The curtains were drawn, and the air held a faint scent of lavender and something sickly sweet that she couldn't place. Inside, her grandmother lay in bed, a frail figure tucked beneath a tangled quilt. The once agile woman who spun tales of adventure now looked so small, so lost. Lily's heart clenched. Time had not been kind, and the whispers of forgetfulness that had haunted her grandmother now seemed to hang like a cloud all-consuming. "Hi, Grandma," Lily ventured, the sweet familiar name spilling from her lips in a choked whisper. The woman in the bed stirred, her eyes fluttering open slowly. They were the same beautiful blue Lily remembered, but today they seemed cloudy, searching for clarity amidst the haze. "Lily?" Her grandmother's voice was faint, a threadbare echo of the vibrant woman she had once known. The uncertainty settled like a lead weight in Lily's gut. Had her grandmother truly remembered her? "It's me," Lily pressed on, stepping closer. "I'm home." Her grandmother's brows furrowed slightly, as if trying to grasp the fleeting connection of a name, a face. "Home?" she repeated, and the way she said it pierced through Lily like glass. Lily nodded, fighting back tears, memories surging unbidden to her mind, the way her grandmother's laughter had danced through the house, the warmth of her embrace, the countless summers they had spent together. "I missed you so much." "Did you?" An unfathomable sadness settled in her grandmother's eyes. Though the words were simple, they felt laden with a lifetime of questions. Lily felt a lump in her throat. "Yes, Grandma. I'm here now. I want to help you." Her mother stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on her grandmother's arm. "We're all here for you. We love you." A flicker of recognition crossed her grandmother's face, but it quickly faded. "Love is a funny thing. I senti it," she murmured, her gaze drifting away from them. It felt as if a ghost of her former self lingered in the room, teasing them with connections lost in the weave of reality. Lily clenched her hands tightly, an unexpected rush of anger mixed with sorrow surging within her. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. This wasn't the reunion she had pictured. "Grandma, please remember what, dear?" her grandmother asked, her confusion deepening. It was like trying to grasp smoke with outstretched hands. Despair threatened to choke Lily's resolve. "I remember, can't you see?" The ache in her chest amplified, driving the words out with desperation. Behind her, Jake remained silent, his presence a quiet strength. Lily needed that now more than ever. She grasped the edge of the bed, leaning in closer, willing her grandmother to summon just one memory, some recognition of the love that had once flourished between them. "Please." Suddenly, her grandmother's expression shifted, a fleeting spark flickering in the depths of her eyes. "Lily, my sunshine," she breathed, and for a brief moment, it felt like they had bridged the gap between past and present. But just as quickly, the haze returned. Lily's heart sank as her grandmother closed her eyes again, lost in the depths of her mind. "Stay with me," Lily whispered. But what if her grandmother couldn't? What if her memories slipped away, just out of reach, never to return? An overwhelming dread filled the space between them, heavy and unyielding. Now teetering on the edge of hope and despair, Lily felt the weight of an impending storm. What if she couldn't bring her grandmother back? As she stood there, struggling against the tide of helplessness, she couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. What would it take to reach her? The air in the room was thick with silence, shattered only by the sporadic creaking of the aged floorboards. Lily watched her grandmother, her heart an anchor pulling her deeper into the moment. She couldn't lose her, not like this. "Grandma, I'm right here," Lily said, trying to infuse her voice with warmth and determination. "I want to tell you about the garden. Remember the daisies you used to love?" A flicker of something curiosity, perhaps kindled in her grandmother's eyes. For a heartbeat, it felt like the space between them shrank, the distance of time and forgetfulness narrowing. "Daisies?" she echoed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Yes, the ones we picked together. You taught me how to make crowns out of them. Remember how we sit on the porch and string them together? Lily leaned in closer, hoping to draw her grandmother back from the shadows. Her grandmother's eyes sparkled for a moment, then dimmed again. It's all faint. She struggled to piece together the fragments of a reality that felt just out of reach, like echoes that danced away before they could be grasped. Lily's despair churned within her, but she quickly steeled her resolve. Tell me a story, Grandma. Any story. This was more than just a request. This was a plea. I need to hear your voice. For a moment, it felt as if the room held its breath. The love Lily felt vibrated in the air, hopeful and brave. And then, just when she thought she might have to resign herself to the void, her grandmother's lips parted. There was once a girl just like you. Lily's heart soared. Yes. What happened to her? She loved the sun. Her grandmother continued, a small smile breaking through the fog. She followed its light and danced among the flowers. Lily leaned in closer, encouraged. Do you remember what she learned? Yes, her grandmother whispered. She learned that even in darkness, there is beauty. You just have to look. Her voice trailed off, as if the weight of her own memories settled heavily on her chest. Look, Grandma. Let us keep looking together, Lily urged, squeezing her grandmother's hand. I'm right here. You are not alone. But the shadows crept back, veiling her grandmother's gaze once again. No, the memories are slippery. Lily choked back tears, frustration mingling with a flicker of hope that refused to die. But Grandma, what's the most important thing you remember? The greatest lesson? Her grandmother inhaled sharply, the fight returning briefly to her eyes. Love, that's all that matters, she murmured, a faint smile ghosting her lips. Love is eternal. Lily held that phrase like a fragile treasure, letting it nestle within her heart. Then let us hold on to this. Let us feel it so when you can't remember you can still feel. As the shadows danced along the walls, a sense of urgency filled the room. Understanding flickered like a fragile candle amid a storm, igniting something within Lily. This wasn't just about memories. It was about connection, the kind that transcends time and forgetfulness. Please, Grandma, she breathed. Let us keep talking, keep trying. For a fleeting moment, her grandmother's eyes sparkled again. My sunshine, she said softly, you have always been my sunshine. But darkness veiled that light too swiftly, and as Lily's heart raced with both fear and determination, she could feel the storm closing in again. She squeezed her grandmother's hand tighter. I'm not giving up. I will find a way. As she turned to Jake, seeking comfort, his face mirrored her unspoken fears. Silence filled the room once more, thick and tense, but she refused to back down. What if love truly was the key? What if fighting through the darkness would reveal paths not yet explored? Lily took a deep breath, resolved that she would not only remember, she would awaken every lost dream her grandmother had ever cherished. With a fresh well of determination, she began to share stories of the past, little treasures that shimmered in the bleakness. But as emotions surged like a tidal wave, she couldn't help but wonder, would love's light be enough to lead her grandmother home? The answer loomed before her like a distant lighthouse, but at what cost? Lily sat by her grandmother's side, beads of sweat forming at her temples as her heart teetered on the edges of fear and hope. Each story she recounted felt like a stitch binding two lives past and present together. You taught me how to cook, she started, her voice shaking with anticipation. Her grandmother's gaze flickered momentarily, a brief spark of recognition. Cook? She repeated slowly, as if trying to conjure a memory from a fog. Yes. Remember the apple pie? Lily pressed on, her heart pounding. You'd let me roll the dough, and we would laugh because it never turned out quite right. The creases on her grandmother's forehead eased for a moment, and she smiled, connecting with the spirit of those shared moments. Apple's my favorite, she murmured almost to herself. Tears filled Lily's eyes as she watched that small flame flicker within her grandmother. The memories might be quiet, but they were still there, hidden like treasures waiting to be unearthed. I'll help you bake again, Grandma, just like we used to, she said, her voice carrying newfound strength. You'll teach me your secrets. Together, But even as those words spilled from her lips, a shadow passed behind her grandmother's eyes, and fear gripped Lily's heart once more. Would the connection last? Jake, who remained silented by the door, moved closer, his presence a gentle reminder that she wasn't alone. "You're doing great, Lily," he whispered, urging her on even when his own apprehension churned beneath the surface. Just then, her grandmother's gaze sharpened, a flicker of clarity erupting amidst her confusion. Tell me why you're here." It felt like a heart-stopping moment, as deep vulnerability filled the air between them. "Because I love you, Grandma. I want to help you remember," Lily replied, voice breaking. Her grandmother looked away, clouds hiding the light. "I'm fading, aren't I? I'm just a ghost of who I used to be." "No," Lily exclaimed, clutching her grandmother's hand tighter. "You are so much more than that. Love can't fade. It stays within us, guiding us no matter the struggles. You taught me that." A silence fell upon them, each breath echoing like a heartbeat in the room. Undeterred by despair, Lily pressed on. "Remember our garden? The flowers you'd tend for hours? The way you told me every flower had a secret? How you always found the beauty in the smallest things?" For a heartbeat, her grandmother's expression softened, and the corners of her mouth twitched as if trying to mold a smile. "Beauty, yes," she whispered, as if tasting the word for the first time in a long while. "Let us find that beauty together," Lily urged, desperate for connection. She needed her grandmother to stay anchored to the light. "You've got so many stories left to tell." With every layer peeled back, Lily felt her grandmother's warmth return, squeezing her hand as the light dared to shine through the darkness. Each story became a lifeline, a bridge that connected their worlds. Jake stepped in, his voice gentle as a spring breeze. "You taught Lily how to see the joy in everything, even when times were tough," he added. A flicker illuminated her grandmother's eyes, a recognition starting to blossom. "Joy, it lingers," she mused softly, "like a bright flower amid the weeds." "Yes, just like you said," Lily exclaimed, unintentionally bursting with excitement. "And if the weeds come back, we'll just keep pulling them out together." Suddenly, the weight in the air felt lighter. The shadows that surrounded them started to recede inch by inch. The fear of the unknown opened up to a glowing warmth within the cracks. They were digging back through memories, but they were building something new in the here and now. Lily caught Jake's eye, and in that moment, she understood every leap of faith, every moment spent nurturing connection, would lay the foundation of a lifetime spent embracing love, despite heartache. "Let us keep talking, Grandma," Lily urged, her voice soft but firm. "Together we'll bloom." And bloom they did. The hours rolled by like gentle waves against the shore, as laughter filled the room, each moment illuminating paths once clouded by uncertainty. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting warm hues into the darkening sky, the bond they forged became the brightest light. They had faced shadows together, not shrinking from the weight of what could not be changed, but allowing love to grow, planting hope amid the unknown. In the weeks that followed, Lily returned each evening to her grandmother's side, weaving stories that tethered their hearts, igniting warmth in the spaces once filled with uncertainty. And Jake, steadfastly at her side, became a part of this intricate dance between past and present, reminding Lily that healing often comes from connection, the kind that thrives in vulnerability and persistence. Each time their hands intertwined, every story they shared became an affirmation. They had emerged from the darkness of despair, ready to embrace the light that had waited patiently to return. Even if the memories continued to flicker uncertainly, the love they cultivated shone unyieldingly, reminding all that even in moments of darkness, hope could ignite like a brilliant sunrise. When Lily stood at the diner counter several months later, she flipped pancakes with an open heart, her spirit buoyed. The warmth in her smile reflected the light generated from all their hard-earned conversations. Nothing had been solved perfectly, but transformation had taken root. And in this moment filled with warmth and purpose, she knew they would always find their way back to each other through the tangled memories and scattered laughter, creating a beautiful tapestry of their lives that would never unravel now. She stood ready to face each day with renewed strength alongside Jake and her family, where every moment, every connection, every story told would bring them all just a bit closer to the sunlight. She had found her voice, discovered the strength of togetherness, and in the process, realized that true transformation lies not in perfect answers but in the courage to journey together. So here's your call to action. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotionally charged ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformative journey. It's time to unite in love and persist through the shadows. Don't wait not even one more second to spread the light.